Hi everyone, and welcome to today's presentation on IT and security transformation. Again, if you're having any trouble viewing the presentation, please try refreshing your screen. My name is Erin Connor, and I'm a sales manager here at Immix Group, the host of today's presentation. Immix Group helps technology companies do business with the government. Government agencies at the federal, state, and local levels trust Immix Group to provide leading IT products through their preferred contracts and business partners. Founded in 1997, Immix Group has developed a reputation as a trusted contractor based upon its proven track record of success, ISO-certified business processes, and extensive knowledge of the government procurement process. Our presentation today will run for about 1 hour, including time for questions and answers at the end. Please feel free to enter your questions into the pod to the left of your main screen. I'll be collecting them for the Q&A session at the end. This presentation is being recorded, and an archive link will be emailed to you within the next couple of days. Please note the toggle button near the top right of the presentation pod that reads full screen. At this time, you're invited to click on this toggle to better view the screen. At the end of the presentation, you will be asked to toggle back to this view to enter any questions you may have into the Q&A pod. Now facing the Senate, the Modernizing Government Technology, or MGT Act, is poised to open funding to improve and replace existing information technology systems to enhance cybersecurity. We're joined today by Cameron Cherry of Dell EMC Federal and Chris Brzjunis of Logarithm, both of whom have a strong belief in the impact modernized systems can have on how government agencies can operate. Cameron Cherry currently serves as Chief Technology Officer for Dell EMC Federal. In this role, Cameron is responsible for developing and executing strategy, corporate development, leadership, and driving innovation for Dell solutions for the federal civilian, U.S. Department of Defense, and intelligence community customers. Chris Brzjunis, Logarithm's VP of Products, is responsible for product management and product marketing. She has more than 20 years of experience leading product and R&D organizations and developing and delivering large-scale enterprise software solutions. At this time, I'd like to turn our presentation over to Cameron and Chris.
Excellent. Thank you for that introduction. It's a pleasure to be with everyone this afternoon. Dell EMC Federal is always proud of working with our partner ecosystem, and we're very excited with this webinar this afternoon with Immix and our Logarithm partners, talking about IT and security transformation. As we heard in the opening, the Modernizing Government and Technology Act is really taking a strong hold in the conversation arena within the Washington, D.C. and federal arenas. What we're finding is most agencies, although require the funding, there's still questions on the strategy and how do we actually deal with digital transformation itself, along with the pending security transformation that has to occur as we look to modernize our IT infrastructure. As we go through transforming the business, though, and the business of government and delivering constituent services, we have to recognize that digital transformation really has several subcomponents involved with it. It's not just the IT transformation and security transformation, but there's also a workforce transformation component to this as well. And as we all know, when we look at the transformation of security, moving from a reactive to more of a proactive, mission-centric approach, the human is always the weakest link. So we have to make sure in digital transformation, we look at all three aspects of the transformation process. But for today, let's focus just on the IT and security components themselves. As we walk through IT transformation and then begin to build the platform of what's going to become our security transformation, we have to focus in three key areas in order to understand how to reduce the attack surface and create a more highly assured computing environment for the government. First step of this is looking at modernizing our data center. As we all know, with legacy equipment and legacy hardware, the opportunity of the attack surface is significant in today's world. Being able to leverage modern platforms such as converged and hyper-converged give us the opportunity to simplify the hardware platform in the data center, begin to leverage software as infrastructure, and also reduce our attack surface. That leads me to the next component of the IT transformation component, which is automate the delivery of service. Through automation, we have the opportunity, again, to harden the attack surface by being able to deploy easily patches and fixes when security vulnerabilities are discovered, as well as deploying gold images or those hardened images necessary to create a more highly assured computing environment. But ultimately, none of this can transform without transforming the way we think about IT operations. Moving from silos of excellence into centers of excellence based on services is one of the final steps when we look at the IT transformation roadmap. As we move forward, though, we recognize that as that IT paradigm shifts from silos to services, our security strategy has to modernize as well. Leveraging a robust partner ecosystem is fantastic, and also being able to leverage a lot of the great technology that you're going to hear about this afternoon with our partners Logarithm and Immix. We have to, though, look at the strategy of security itself. One of the first aspects of our modernization strategy is it's got to be mission-driven. What we mean by this is we have to be able to offer security in a context that's relevant to the constituent services being delivered or the mission that's being protected. Whether you're in the federal government, Department of Defense, or the intelligence community, it is always safe to align to what the mission outcome is that you're trying to achieve. Being able to offer a mission-driven security context allows us the opportunity to shift more from a defensive type of security posture into more of a proactive type of posture and shifts us to our risk-driven approach. Leveraging the greater data and analytics available to us through the capabilities such as Logarithm allow us to make better intelligence and information-driven decision solutions. This allows us the opportunity to take a look in greater real-time advantage of what's happening on the network and being able to harden in as close to real-time as possible. This again begins to foster shifting from a security to a risk-driven posture, allowing us the opportunity to see in close to real-time what's happening on the network and be able to respond immediately to incidents and events. It's fascinating as we look at the worldwide cybersecurity spend, we recognize there's a massive issue and a shift afoot. When we look at the amount of money being invested, we recognize that their transformation time is now, and the transformation time is available to us like no other generation prior to where we're experiencing now. When we look at the modern data center and our IT transformation and how it all culminates with our security transformation along with workforce, we can see that it has to be a paradigm shift from what we think about today. When we look at current thinking and how we try and modernize our infrastructure to get us to a hybrid cloud type of strategy or a more modern opportunity for applications such as these fourth generation cloud native applications, we have to be able to shift the architecture to be able to shift the paradigm for security transformation. We see it clearly in all of our customers and in all the studies and everything that we commit regarding industry information. 80% of our CISOs that responded to the most recent study that Dell's committed have all revealed that their security strategies have to shift in the next year. They recognize that the attack surface is becoming more complex, so digital transformation and IT transformation has to occur in order to reduce the attack surface. They also recognize that the advanced persistent threats are increasing in nature and moving to more of an anomaly-based versus a signature-based attack. So as we look at security transformation, the paradigm shift is here. Ultimately, the value that we see through Dell Technologies is not only being a trusted advisor, but leveraging the valued vast ecosystem of our trusted partners. As we look at partners like Immix and Logarithm, this is how we create going from products to platforms to ultimate solutions for our customers. So with that, I want to yield my time over to Immix, and I look forward to the rest of our discussion. Thank you very much.
All right then. Well, I guess I am next, and so I'm Chris Prasjunas. Nice to talk to you all. And now we heard about IT transformation as well as some of the motivations around security transformation. I'm going to speak further about security transformation in the context of detect and response solutions. So as you probably are aware, cyber incidents have grown quite a bit over the past few years. In the mid-2000s, we probably counted hundreds of them. And now we look at 2015 and 2016, we're in the thousands of them. And so an order of magnitude increase. And most recently, we've had quite an outbreak of ransomware and wiperware threats that have occurred and have taken up the news over this second quarter. So all this are reasons why investing in security transformation along with IT transformation is important. And it's an ideal time to do so, as you can architect and plan well while you're doing that. So, to protect against advanced cyber threats where there's new methods and new attacks, and those methods may not be known. Security and detect and response solutions play an incredibly important role. There's data that supports this shift, as you see in this slide, from largely preventative solution investment to a combination of preventative as well as detect and response solutions. And in this slide, you can see Gartner identified that in 2013, 10% of budgets were being allocated to detect and response, and that this same report in 2020 indicates that over 60% will be of that budget will be moved to detection and response. And so that's quite an increase. So I want to talk now about Logarithm's approach to an effective detection and response solution. It's something that we call threat lifecycle management, and it's unique in the market and a term that we have coined. So let me take a minute here and describe it. So first off, it's a series of aligned steps and capabilities that begins with the ability to see across the entire environment, right? So that includes network infrastructure, host infrastructure, applications, cloud, data centers, both broadly and in detail. And it ends with the ability to quickly respond and neutralize threats. So our technology is a key enabler of bridging people and processes. And to all of you, what does that mean? Well, it means enabling high staff efficiency and doing more with less in the SOC. And so our goal with threat lifecycle management is to lower time to detect as well as time to respond while keeping staffing levels flat. So how do we do that? So let's talk through what the end-to-end threat lifecycle management workflow looks like. And we also, by the way, call this TLM. First, we start with forensic data collection, as you see in this slide. We monitor the entire enterprise, including security infrastructure and equally important IT infrastructure, as well as applications. Where we identify visibility gaps, we'll address those with sensors. We call them forensic data sensors that forensically generate data for deeper visibility. So in effect, we're collecting a lot of unstructured data. So at this point, the next thing to do is to then uniformly classify and time normalize that data with metadata extracted and tagged. We also have to identify threat and risk information, because that will be valuable in the discovery phase of threat lifecycle management. In addition, that structured information, along with that raw machine data, is valuable for both search analytics as well as machine analytics. So the next step that we will do is to qualify that the threats that we identify and assess them. We may have to assess them. We want to assess them quickly and briefly, so determine, is that anomaly and event a real risk in the environment? And if it is, then we need to classify it as an alarm, as a threat, and something that we need to assess and investigate. And that moves us into the second phase of threat lifecycle management that aligns to time to respond. So in this phase, we investigate the threat, and we analyze the details. We contextualize it with additional information from other security tools, and we determine the nature of the incident. And then we utilize embedded tools such as case management and smart response, and as well as automation tools to gather that information quickly so that we can assess the nature of the incident and then go ahead and neutralize it, implementing countermeasures through automation. And then finally, recovering, doing the last step, which is recovery, and cleaning up from that threat. Across the top of threat lifecycle management is an important metric. It's the mean time to detect, which you see in blue at the top, as well as the time to respond, which is in red. And the goal of threat lifecycle management and our platform is to measure these, because this measurement is a really important metric for SOC effectiveness to have. And our platform uniquely measures those. So let's look at threat lifecycle management for a modern agency. So it starts with data collectors and forensic data generation components for endpoint and network. And you see that here with endpoint monitoring as well as network monitoring. The data then is classified, normalized, with metadata extracted. And that's all part of the log management function. And within the log management function, we store the data that's structured as well as unstructured, because all of this information makes up our security forensic data lake, which is powered by our machine data intelligence. And that's that structure I've been talking about, as well as Elasticsearch as the persistence technology that we utilize. Across all this data, we run advanced security analytics, including user and entity behavioral analytics, network behavioral analytics, and last endpoint behavioral analytics. And with our embedded security automation and orchestration capabilities, that is where, when I was talking about incident response, those are the capabilities that we offer in that part of our solution. So all of these capabilities are in a single platform. So now I want to talk through a few of the key differentiators of our solution that enable modern SOCs to be highly effective. The first differentiator is machine data intelligence, and we call it our MDI fabric. Machine data intelligence is our ability to bring in data from the enterprise with what I call real meaning. We support many different types of IT and security devices and applications. And to date, we support over 800, which is industry leading. So to enable effective real-time analysis, we apply a taxonomy over the unstructured data collected. We call that taxonomy machine data intelligence. And it provides that deep structuring, and along with contextualization of that data with additional host information, with identity information, as well as time and geographic location information. Structure is incredibly important to effective real-time analysis, and that is something that is important for all of you to know. Real-time analysis is honestly nearly impossible without it. So our machine data intelligence also serves as an abstraction layer for the IT environment. So one of the challenges with analytics is that the IT environment changes. It evolves. So you might go from one endpoint protection solution to another for whatever reason. So when that change does occur, will all your analytics break, or will they keep working? Well, with logarithm, through our MDI, those analytics will keep working, and that is critically important to your cost of ownership and is an enabler of IT transformation that we're talking today about. Another differentiator is the ability to see broadly across the entire attack surface and perform analytics across it, for user, network, and endpoint. And this is powered by our AI engine in our security analytics area. AI engine is a pretty modern advanced technology that takes in real-time stream of machine data that's collected and curated. And then it applies threat scenarios to that data, along with machine learning types of approaches, such as trending and whitelisting. Those threat scenarios are then mapped along the cyber attack lifecycle for progression and threat risk identification. As you know, as you move more toward the right on the cyber attack lifecycle, the risk is higher, and the impact to the enterprise is higher. So the result of the analysis of what we are doing are precise and prioritized alarms, generated in real time, seconds from attack, around user-based threats, network-based threats, as well as endpoint. And Logarithm packages hundreds of field-validated threat scenarios, modeling behaviors of past and future attacks. And those are updated regularly, even daily. It's also very easy to customize those unique use cases and develop models for your own needs and threat detection capabilities within your agency. So the last differentiator I want to speak about is security automation and orchestration. So Logarithm has developed a pretty robust case management facility that allows you to manage your incident response progress right within the same platform. The capability allows teams to collaborate across the investigatory process and utilize native Logarithm tools as well. Those tools allow for rich contextualization of information as well as visualization, giving the analyst situational understanding, which allows for faster incident response. In addition, so with case management, as you're doing that investigation, everything is tracked, which is what it needs to be in a well-performing SOC. So along with case, we have an automation framework. We call it Smart Response. And countermeasures can be teed up utilizing Smart Response, such as things like disabling a user count or quarantining an endpoint. In addition to countermeasures, you can also use this same automation as an automated playbook as part of our case management facility to automate a wide variety of common investigatory actions. So in the end, with security automation and orchestration, we are looking to achieve a highly effective incident response process for your SOC and reduce that mean time to respond. Let me go back. So an important attribute of the IT transformation today is cloud security, because a lot of the IT infrastructure is moving to cloud. So I would like to touch on this for a moment. And a key aspect of cloud security is to gain visibility into that infrastructure, such as Dell's infrastructure, as well as the applications that are cloud-based. So Logarithm's ability to monitor and gain visibility to many applications and infrastructure are incredibly important to cloud security. And with our machine data intelligence and our analytics for threat monitoring, everything should work out of the box. So as you add and move infrastructure to the cloud, Logarithm's analytics will continue to work because of that machine data intelligence that we employ and we define all of our analytics rules on. So TCO stays low with Logarithm even during this transformation. So that's all I have for today, and I hope you found this session useful, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, Cameron and Chris. At this time, I'd invite our attendees to toggle back to the original viewing screen by clicking on the full screen button again. If you do have any questions on today's presentation, please type it into the pod to the left of the main screen. We will hopefully get to all of the questions, but if we do run out of time, we will respond to any remaining questions via email. We do have several panel questions that have been prepared by IMIX for our speakers. We're going to start off with the first question, which is, how does Dell provide security at the component level and balance that with external security partners such as Logarithm?
That's a great opening question. We invest a significant amount of money annually in securing our supply chain down to the component level. So for us, security starts before we operationalize it in how we run and manage risk within the supply chain itself. As we bring those components into more modern solutions such as converged and hyper-converged, as you've heard us talk about today, we then create the opportunities for the information on those types of platforms to be able to be exposed to API to the security platforms such as a logarithm capability. This allows you to gain a wider field of view of not only what's happening at the software layer, but the hardware layer as well. So a combination between supply chain risk management and allowing these types of modern security platforms such as logarithm to access all of the data and information that's coming off of the hardware level itself allows us the opportunity to create a data fusion layer, increasing your depth of insight into the attack surface.
Thank you, Cameron. For another question that we have, for agencies concerned about insider threat, based on the TLM strategy that was mentioned earlier, is there a best-of-breed option or an overarching strategy you could discuss?
Sure, I can answer that. So if you look at insider threat is one of the use cases of user entity and behavior analytics. And that's a pretty advanced suite of analytics that's part of any security analytics SEM solution. So to get there, one of the strategies you need to employ is first knowing that you're going to have to get there is you got to plan for deep visibility. So Cameron just talked briefly about APIs and the ability for logarithm to be able to reach into the infrastructure to understand the activity that's going on with it and monitor it appropriately. And that's important to go ahead and invest in early. The more visibility you have, the better your chance to more quickly identify threats and equally important, identify those that are unseen. So I think that, is probably, from a strategy perspective, one of the most important things to do. And then from there, continue, to mature your security process and plans with the addition of security analytics capabilities that offer the capabilities to be able to monitor user activity. And that includes both real-time analysis as well as visualizations of activities of users as well.
Thank you, Chris. And another question that we have, we commonly hear that there are two big challenges that agencies must address in the next few years. How are Dell and Logarithm working with agencies to provide proof that they are compliant based on NIST, FISMA, FIPS, and other compliance standards?
Chris, you want me to start that one and we can tag team, or how would you like to approach it?
Go ahead.
Sure, no problem.
Go ahead, Cameron.
This is the partnership at work, right? So this really does require a close partnership with our two companies in the ecosystem. When we look at compliance with things like the FISMA standards, whether it's 853 or the incoming 800-171 and other security standards that we employ, it really does come back to the conversation that Chris and I have been having all day. There's got to be the transparency and insight available to the security apparatus from the hardware platform up. This is how we're affording agencies the opportunity to be able to truly see what's happening in the environment. For anyone that's ever supported the intelligence community, there's a concept out there called situational awareness. And what we're really describing here between Logarithm and Dell EMC is the ability to create real good situational awareness from a cybersecurity perspective. And what situational awareness is data that's been turned into information, but added context to ultimately give you knowledge about the attack surface. So when we approach agencies together, we first look at their modernization strategy to ensure they take into consideration the transformations that are occurring both with workforce security and IT. The second component is that we build that new security strategy together that unlocks and harnesses the power of the platforms such as Logarithm to really start to create that situational awareness that we talk about.
Yeah, that was well said, Cameron. I mean, so that you mean a lot of what Cameron spoke here is exactly what logarithm does. It's going to first of all gather that data, so that then it can be translated to information, and that's what we talk about when we talking about our machine data intelligence layer, which takes that data, moves it to information that then can be effectively analyzed from a compliance perspective. And from a compliance perspective, you know, what we're looking at here is how well are the controls within the compliance specification, are they adhered to? And so that's a key part of what logarithm does. Logarithm has prepackaged compliance modules that we deliver out that have been validated to be have a high levels of efficacy, and they work well. And they're relatively straightforward to deploy, which is great, again, from a return on investment perspective. So I think there, you know, agencies should, you know, one of the things important to do is when you are identifying tooling, make sure that you have tooling that's giving you that visibility, that has the capability of taking data and converting it to information, and then has the appropriate pre-built-in compliance validation solution that's been validated and proved out when you select tools.
Thank you both. And our last question for this session, how does logarithm demonstrate and support working in a hybrid cloud environment where some of the network will be in a hosted cloud and the bulk of the sensitive information and applications will actually be in a data center?
Sure. In this case, with logarithm, one of the things we're able to do, we're able to collect and monitor from a global distributed environment. Okay, and we do that through our data collectors as well as forensic sensors that can be a distance away from the base platform itself. And as a result of that, so you can place this type of technology inside of cloud environments, inside of data centers, and it works equally well. Another reason that we can support this type of environment is that having the appropriate methods to collect cloud-based application data is important to have, and we recognize that. And that's a capability that we've invested in, and we are staying quite current in. So you can feel rest assured that as you're moving to the cloud, that we will have the ability to collect that information and then curate it appropriately so that it can be utilized for analytics and situational awareness.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Chris and Cameron both, thank you for your time and for speaking with us today. This wraps up our presentation on IT and security transformation. An archive link of this presentation will be sent out to all participants in the next couple of days. In the meantime, if you do have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out and contact us. Thank you all for your time and attention, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.